When did a PTA meeting reveal a 2-year con you trusted? Oh my god, you guys, I literally just watched my entire life flash before my eyes, and it was all because of a stupid PTA meeting and a fake job application. I'm sitting in my 2018 Honda Civic in the parking lot of the elementary school. It's 9:47 p.m., 2 hours after the meeting officially ended, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to throw up the leftover Chipotle I stress ate earlier. This is absolutely wild. I need to type this out because if I tell anyone in real life right now, I will start screaming and they will put me in a padded room. Let me start from the beginning because past me was such a naive idiot, and I need you all to understand the level of clownery I was operating on. My name is Ralph Ali 52M, and I am, let's just say, fundamentally conflict avoidant. Like if I see a minor disagreement brewing at the grocery store, I will walk 5 aisles over just to avoid hearing it. I married late, adopted my daughter later, and I just want a peaceful, quiet life with decent Wi-Fi and maybe Talenti gelato on Fridays. I work in municipal planning, very boring, very safe, very predictable. That's my comfort zone. My current disaster involves the local PTA. Specifically the fact that I was supposed to make a huge, life-changing announcement tonight, and instead I found out the person I trusted most in the world has been running an elaborate 2-year con. We are currently 3 months into the new school year, and the PTA is, to put it mildly, a breeding ground for high-stakes, low-impact drama. Our main focus right now is finding a new vice president because Brenda moved to Arizona to join a cult or something. I honestly don't even know the full story, but it involved a lot of cryptic Instagram posts and suddenly deleting all photos taken after 2019. The meeting started at 5:30 p.m. sharp, which meant I had to rush home from the office on 5th floor, pick up my daughter from her after-school coding club, drop her off with the neighbor, and sprint back across town. Traffic was terrible thanks to a sudden downpour, and my iPhone 14 battery was at a nervous 11% by the time I pulled into the lot, barely snagging the last spot by the dumpsters. Spot 42 NGL, it felt like a bad omen. I walk into the multipurpose room and the air immediately hits you with that specific mix of stale coffee, industrial carpet cleaner, and the faint, unsettling aroma of institutional chicken nuggets. Sitting around the big laminate table are the usual suspects. First, there's Jessica Ramirez 32F, the current president, who is the absolute definition of a womansplainer. She means well, but every single suggestion you make, she will nod patronizingly, say, "That's a fantastic idea, Ralph," and then spend the next 10 minutes explaining how your idea works, but using different, slightly more complicated words, thereby establishing her intellectual dominance. She was wearing a crisp white blazer and sipping an iced Starbucks latte. Meanwhile, I looked like I fought a damp raccoon on the way in. Then there was Teresa Price 32F, the treasurer. Teresa is famous for two things: micromanaging the budget down to the last $43.67 grocery bill for the bake sale, and currently being in the planning stages for the most financially demanding intimate destination wedding to Santorini next May. She treats every PTA meeting like a compulsory sales pitch for her wedding registry. Every sentence starts with, "Well, when Jake and I were discussing the bespoke lighting package for Santorini, she was wearing her Apple Watch and kept flexing her wrist, probably checking her Zelle balance." Next to her was Dylan Ivanov 30M, the communications coordinator, aka the reply all abuser. Dylan is a perfectly nice guy, but if you send an email asking, "Does anyone have the key to the supply closet?" Dylan will reply all with a 3-paragraph monologue about the existential nature of keys, his personal history with lost keys, and then accidentally include his personal credit card statement for the last month. NGL, I had muted Slack notifications from him weeks ago. He was wearing AirPods the entire time, even when people were talking to him. And finally, Gerald Evans, 64M, our resident elder statesman and resident weirdo. Gerald retired early from HVAC repair and now spends approximately 16 hours a day playing competitive strategy games and, yes, streaming on Twitch. His channel is called Boiler Boss 64, and he primarily yells at teenagers who beat him in Valorant. He insisted on wearing a headset to the meeting because he needed to monitor his chat, which was clearly silent. I slid into my seat, heart pounding, trying to compose myself. I had a whole plan. I rehearsed the announcement in the car. I know this is a busy time for us, but I wanted to share some incredible news. My partner Alex and I are expecting, simple, joyful, efficient. Alex 31M and I have been together for 2 years, 8 months. We finalized the adoption paperwork last month and we were finally ready to tell everyone. This was the perfect, awkward, slightly corporate environment to announce a major life event. I know I'm conflict avoidant. I prefer structured announcements. Jessica started the meeting, going over the $1,247 rent payment for the storage unit and reminding us that we need to finalize the candidates for VP. "Okay, team," Jessica said, her voice dripping with organizational superiority. "We have 2 fantastic applicants for vice president. We have Barb from 3rd grade, and then we have Ralph's partner, Alex." My stomach did that weird flip-flop thing. Alex had mentioned he applied. He's brilliant, runs his own independent contracting firm specializing in custom website development. He always talks about community involvement, and honestly, he's great with people. Unlike me, he would be perfect for the job. "Before we vote," Jessica continued, adjusting her white blazer, "the committee is required to perform a standard quick reference check, especially since the VP position handles finances and confidential information. It's just protocol." Teresa piped up immediately, "Yes, absolutely necessary. We don't want any financial surprises." Speaking of which, the $347 bill for the new playground signs needs Zelle immediato. "Wait, Ralph, did Alex list you as a reference?" I shook my head. "No, he listed 2 former business partners." "Excellent," Jessica said, clicking something on her laptop. I actually just received the final reference check summary 5 minutes before the meeting started. Let me just share the screen. This is where the nausea truly set in. I was watching my life derail in real time, projected onto a dirty wall by a low-resolution projector. The screen flickered, showing a PDF titled Reference Check Summary, Alexander T. Johnson. Reference 1, Jessica read aloud, pointing with her mouse, a Mr. David Chen listed as Alex's business partner from 2018 to 2021. I called him Tuesday at 11:47 a.m. He was very professional. He said Alex worked with him on several large projects and was extremely skilled at client management. I sighed internally with relief. See, Alex is great. Why was I even nervous? I must be projecting my own anxiety onto him. However, Jessica paused, leaning closer to the microphone. Mr. Chen then added a rather unusual caveat. He said, and I quote, Alex is the best coder I've ever known, but you should know that Alex Johnson has never run an independent contracting firm. He was an hourly employee at my company until he left when our main client, Microcorp, filed for bankruptcy and laid off the entire digital services division in late 2021. Wait, what? I felt my ears start ringing. Alex has always told me he started his own firm right after leaving that big corporate job. We talked about his clients constantly. He showed me mock-ups and invoices. He even had a dedicated office set up in the spare room, a beautiful IKEA desk and ergonomic chair. I stammered, I wait, what? Did he say employee, not partner? Jessica gave me the woman's plainer look. Yes, Ralph, Mr. Chen confirmed he was an employee, but that's not the critical part. The critical part is what he said about the second reference. Gerald leaned forward, adjusting his headset. This is better than watching a 6-hour Twitch raid. Keep going, Jessica. Reference 2, Jessica continued, oblivious to the fact that I was actively dissociating. A Ms. Lee Miller listed as a collaborator on the independent contracting firm's projects. I called Ms. Miller yesterday afternoon. She was confused, extremely confused. Teresa sniffed, clearly already judging Alex for his lack of apparent financial transparency. In Santorini, all vendors must provide 3 audited statements minimum. Ms. Miller stated that she knows Alex well, Jessica said. They dated for 2 years. The room went silent except for the high-pitched whine coming from Gerald's laptop fan. They dated for 2 years up until October 2021, Jessica repeated, looking directly at me with professional detachment. And she was very clear that Alex Johnson was not running an independent contracting firm. He was working at a coffee shop on Main Street until he decided to go back to school in late 2021. My throat was suddenly dry, like sandpaper. October 2021, that's exactly when Alex and I met. Fall 2021, he told me he was moving on from a toxic business partnership and had just signed a lease for apartment 3B where we now live. He told me he was stressed about the $85 plumber charge for the burst pipe he had to deal with alone. He told me he was launching his new firm. He never mentioned Lee Miller. He never mentioned the coffee shop. I looked at the projected PDF. Alex Johnson, 31 and my Alex. Jessica, I whispered, my voice thick. Are you absolutely sure you have the right Alex Johnson? Maybe there's a mix-up. I was grasping, desperately searching for a rational explanation. Maybe he went by Alex T. Johnson professionally, but my Alex is Alexander P. Johnson. Something minor. Jessica shook her head, pulling up a screenshot of the application attached to the email chain. We confirmed the phone number, the birth date, the address, apartment 3B. It's him, Ralph. Dylan, bless his heart but not his filtering skills, finally took out one AirPod and leaned in. Wait, so your boyfriend lied about his entire professional career for the entire time you've known him? And GL, that's heavy. Teresa nodded severely. And think of the financial implications. If he lied about his job, how do we know he's pulling his weight for the $1,247 rent? Does he even have a 401k? It'd audit his Venmo history immediately. I was seeing red, but also feeling absolutely paralyzed. Conflict-avoidant Ralph was internally screaming, while external Ralph just sat there, mouth slightly open, blinking slowly. I managed to say, I need a minute, I need to call him. I grabbed my phone, which was now vibrating furiously down to 7% battery. Before I could dial, a new notification flashed across the projector screen. Jessica had minimized the PDF, but she hadn't closed her email inbox. A new email popped up, timestamp 6:01 p.m. From Alex Johnson, Alex T. Johnson at genericmail.com to Teresa Price, Jessica Ramirez, Dylan Ivanov, Ralph Ali, Gerald Evans, via reply all subject, Ray VP reference check summary. Wait, did Alex just reply all? Dylan, the reply all abuser, immediately reacted. Oh no, he did not just hit reply all on the reference summary. The email was short, punchy, and utterly devastating. I'm quoting this verbatim because I need everyone to understand the level of gaslighting I was experiencing. Alex wrote, listen, I know what that bitter ex-Lee said, and I know David is just jealous of my success. I'm running a thriving company and Ralph knows this. I literally just needed the VP position as a stepping stone to distract myself from how nervous I am about the next step. Speaking of which, Ralph, I saw the email you accidentally sent to yourself 2 days ago with the subject line perfect announcement wording. We should have done this at dinner, but since everyone is here, we are expecting a baby in March. This PTA meeting is officially the place we are telling the world, silence, absolute terrifying silence. My brain couldn't process the layers of horror fast enough. 1. He saw the draft email I wrote to myself practicing the pregnancy announcement. 2. He just hijacked my carefully planned private moment and weaponized it to discredit the reference check findings. 3. He just announced our baby, the baby we were adopting and were so excited about, the entire PTA via reply all email, using it as a shield. 4. And worse, he called Lee Miller a bitter ex and implied she was lying about him working at a coffee shop, effectively confirming that he was indeed the Alex Johnson she knew. I felt the blood drain from my face. I grabbed the edge of the table because my hands were shaking so badly I thought I might fall over. Jessica, ever the professional, stared at the screen, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. Ralph, I was going to call you privately. We were reviewing the adoption paperwork you submitted with your application for the fundraising committee last week. Everything was signed and dated. I nodded dumbly. Yes, we had the final court date set for mid-March. This was real. This was happening. Gerald, still wearing his headset, whispered loudly, "Wait, is this a fake pregnancy announcement used to deflect from a resume lie? This is A-tier drama, folks." Teresa, always seeing things through a financial lens, looked horrified. Ralph, if he lied about his job, how can he afford the diapers? Will he even contribute to the security deposit on the new apartment lease? We literally signed a 12-month lease last week. I was done, just done. I felt the ugly crying welling up, the kind that makes your stomach cramp. I didn't even notice Dylan clicking away on his phone until he gasped. "Oh my God, Ralph, Alex just triple texted me. He's calling us all out for invading his privacy. Wait, he's demanding we vote him VP immediately as an act of good faith for the incoming child." Dylan held up his Samsung Galaxy phone, showing the screen. Alex's texts read, "Dylan, you guys are harassing me. I'm busy. We're having a baby. You're overreacting. Vote me in. This is pathetic. If Ralph doesn't defend me, he's showing a lack of commitment to our family. Tell him that. I'm serious. I'm watching this chat. Wait, watching this chat? How we were in a private room." I looked around the table, adrenaline finally overriding the shock. That's when I saw it. Tucked just under Gerald Avant's 64M Twitch streamer laptop, flashing a little red light, was Alex's beat-up old Samsung Galaxy. He had left his phone here, and he had apparently joined Gerald's Twitch stream to listen in on the meeting, because Gerald, the Boiler Boss 64, was wearing a headset and monitoring his chat. I looked at Gerald's screen, and there in the tiny comment section were messages from a user named ProudPapaBear1992. ProudPapaBear1992, HES lying. The woman is a snake. ProudPapaBear1992, tell Ralph I love him, but he's being stupidly quiet. Alex wasn't just listening via the Twitch stream. He was trying to direct the meeting using a fake celebratory pregnancy announcement and gaslighting all of us, while simultaneously using a burner phone to monitor the real-time audio through a Twitch streamer's accidental feed. This was less conflict and more theatrical espionage. I felt the rage finally break through the conflict avoidance. I grabbed Alex's phone from under Gerald's laptop. It was unlocked because of course it was. Alex literally cannot remember passwords to save his life. I looked down at the text he was sending and saw the last one he'd received 5 minutes earlier from a number saved as Renter's Insurance. It read, "Alex, your application for the personal loan was denied again. Stop listing your contracting firm as an asset. We verified you work at the Starbucks on Main Street. We need $200 withdrawals to cover the missed security deposit payment or we escalate to collections." I looked up at the entire PTA board, Jessica, Teresa, Dylan, Gerald all staring at me waiting. My partner of 2 years and 8 months, the man I was adopting a child with, the man who had just used our future child as a pawn in a PTA election, was a fraud who was apparently still working at a coffee shop and was about to go into collections over a $200 debt. He had built our entire life together on a foundation of lies and a shared Netflix password. I took a deep breath, ready to finally, truly lose it, ready to unleash the 52 years of pent-up conflict. "Ralph," Jessica asked tentatively, "what are you going to do?" I didn't answer her. I looked at Alex's phone again, found the contact for Renter's Insurance, and typed a response. I was about to hit send, but then I had a better idea. I deleted the draft message, opened up the group email thread where Alex had made his insane reply all announcement, and started typing a new response. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hit the keys on my iPhone. It was time for the call them out resolution approach, and I was going to do it in the most public, most PTA dramatic way possible. I typed out the first few sentences, outlining the financial deception, the Lee Miller detail, and the Renter's Insurance text. I made sure to CC all the PTA members again, including Alex's fake email address. But then, just as I was about to hit send, Gerald the Twitch streamer suddenly yelled, "Chat is wild, Ralph. Proud Papa Bear 1992 is absolutely losing it. He just posted the code to your Ring doorbell and says he's locked himself in your apartment until you come home and explain why you're ruining his life." I dropped the phone, the code. He posted the code to our Ring doorbell. He was waiting for me, and he thought I was the one ruining his life. I looked at the PTA members, my heart hammering against my ribs, realizing that the fight I was about to start on email was about to be interrupted by a very real, very hostile confrontation at apartment 3B, where I had just moved all of my daughter's new things. Jessica looked terrified. Teresa was already calculating the cost of a locksmith. Dylan was frantically trying to mute Alex's Proud Papa Bear 1992 account, and Gerald was just leaning into his mic, completely absorbed, saying, "Oh my God, this stream is going viral, guys. We have 4,000 viewers. Should I put the PTA meeting drama on mute and just focus on this domestic situation?" I looked down at Alex's phone, ready to expose him publicly, but now I knew I had to get home fast before he could do anything else stupid with my daughter's things. But if I left, it'd be letting him win the narrative battle here. I felt a sudden cold panic. I had to choose public exposure via reply all or securing my home and my daughter's belongings. I didn't even get to make the choice because Dylan suddenly yelled, "Ralph, Alex just sent another text to the group chat. He just made another announcement." And I read the new text on Dylan's screen and my jaw absolutely dropped. It was worse than anything he had said so far. The text simply read, BTW Ralph, tell your new PTA friends that you only have 3 PTO hours left this quarter and your insurance deductible wasn't met, so you won't be able to afford the therapy you need to cope with losing me. It was a perfect calculated strike, using the precise mundane details of my life I had shared in total confidence right before he had dropped the adoption news bombshell. He wasn't just lying about his job, he was financially and emotionally monitoring me. I looked at the PTA board, realizing they now knew my exact PTO hours, my insurance status, and the fact that I was already in therapy. I stood up, grabbed my car keys, and started running toward the exit. I knew I couldn't ignore this, I had to face him, but first I had to expose him. I pulled out my own phone, which was now down to 3% battery, and clicked on the reply all thread, ready to type out the most devastating, factual, and rage-filled email of my entire life, even if the battery died mid-send. But before I could even open the keyboard, my phone's screen went dark. 3% battery, died. I was standing in the hallway mid-sprint with a dead phone, an enraged fraud of a partner locked in my apartment after posting the ring code on Twitch, and a PTA full of witnesses who knew my exact PTO balance. I heard Teresa shouting from the room, Ralph, we still need to vote. And tell us about the PTO, is that reflected in the budget? And Gerald, the absolute menace, yelling, chat wants to know if he has a beat-up Toyota Corolla or a BMW he can't afford, Ralph. Which is it? I stood there, surrounded by the smell of stale coffee and impending doom, realizing I was absolutely screwed on every single level, public, private, and financial. And that's when I heard the sound of a garage door opener screeching right outside the school, followed by the specific familiar roar of a car engine I had financed for someone else. Alex was here. He hadn't been locked inside apartment 3B, he was outside. He was waiting for me. And I had no phone, no plan, and 40 minutes of rage to unleash. I need to know what to do right now before he walks into this room. Do I run? Do I scream? Do I find a whiteboard and draw a diagram of his lies? Please tell me what to do. My chest is tight. I feel like I might vomit. I'm literally going to lose my mind. Oh my god, okay, I am back. I'm typing this from my friend Dave's house. I have a semi-charged phone, a blanket, and approximately 12 gallons of panic running through my veins. The PTA meeting, the scene of the crime was 6 hours ago, but honestly it feels like it happened a decade ago and also 5 minutes ago. You guys need to know what happened when Alex showed up. Remember how I was running toward the exit, my phone dead at 3% right when I heard the car engine? Yeah. That was the 2021 Toyota RAV4 that I co-signed for Alex because he said his independent contracting firm needed a reliable vehicle for client visits. And GL, the irony of that detail almost made me double over right there in the hallway, smelling that institutional cleaner. I stopped dead right outside the multipurpose room door. I peered around the frame, trying to look inconspicuous, which is hard when you're a 52 and look like you just witnessed a vehicular manslaughter. The door to the school lobby swung open and there he was, Alex. He looked exactly how he always looks, put together, slightly smug, wearing a $150 designer hoodie that he definitely did not pay for with Starbucks wages. He had that perfect blend of casual confidence and passive aggression. He strode in carrying a large, ridiculously oversized teddy bear, the kind you win at a boardwalk game or buy last minute at a CVS. I instantly knew he was trying to use the adoption announcement as a shield again. He was performing. He spotted me immediately standing frozen in the hallway and his smile dropped instantly. Ralph, he boomed way too loud for the hallway. What the hell is going on? Why did you guys send me that insane email summary? And why did you hang up on me? I hadn't hung up on him. My phone died. But Alex never takes responsibility for anything, so I wasn't surprised. I felt 52 years of conflict avoidance battling with the pure primal rage of a man whose PTO hours and therapy deductible had just been publicly weaponized. The rage won. I took a shaky step back into the PTA room because if I was going to do this, I needed witnesses. I needed the woman's planer, the destination wedding demander, the reply all abuser, and the Twitch streamer to document this disaster. I walked back in, grabbed Alex's burner phone, the one he'd been using to spy on the meeting, and threw it across the room. It hit the laminate wall with a satisfying thwack and the screen shattered. Alex stared at the phone debris, his mouth agape. The teddy bear tumbled to the floor. Ralph, did you just destroy my property? That's my only way to talk to my clients, he protested, the lie still rolling off his tongue like butter. I pointed at Jessica. Jessica, could you please pull up the email thread again? The one with Alex's reply all? Jessica, looking pale but determined, she loves an organized confrontation, immediately clicked the mouse. The email Alex had sent announcing the adoption and calling his ex a snake reappeared on the projector screen. Alex saw it and started talking fast, trying to frame the narrative. See guys, Ralph and I are expecting. This is the stress of a new baby. We are so excited. We just had a fight, that's all. I cut him off. And I didn't whisper. I literally yelled and my voice cracked midway, which was embarrassing, but whatever. Stop lying, Alex. Stop lying about the baby. Stop lying about your job. Stop lying about everything. Teresa leaned forward, calculating. Lying is a major red flag for financial stability, Alex. We need clarity on the 401k situation. Alex ignored her, focusing entirely on me. His eyes were wide and suddenly calculating. Ralph, don't do this here, you're making a scene. Do you want the baby to grow up thinking we fight in public? That was the line. The absolute gall of using the child we hadn't even met yet, the child whose future I was terrified about, as emotional blackmail. I walked right up to the projector screen, pointing at the name Alexander T. Johnson. I was going to send this in an email, but my phone died. So since you used reply all to announce our adoption, I'm going to use this public forum to unannounce our relationship. Silence. Absolute terrifying silence again. I took a shaky breath, pulled out the crumpled ring notification from my pocket that Gerald had given me earlier, and read the renter's insurance text that was on Alex's other phone. This man, I said, pointing directly at Alex, who claims to run a thriving independent contracting firm, just got his personal loan denied, is about to go into collections over a $200 debt and lied on a PTA application. Because he works at the Starbucks on Main Street. He's been working at a coffee shop for the 2 years and 8 months we've been together. He never ran a firm. He lied to me about every single financial decision, every client meeting, every late-night code session that was probably just cleaning the espresso machine. Alex's face was turning blotchy red. That's private, Ralph. You're invading my privacy. Gerald, still wearing his headset, whispered into the mic, "Oh, the viewer count just hit 7,000. This is incredible content, folks. He's exposing the full scam." I ignored Gerald. I looked at Alex. "You want private? Okay. You announced our adoption to manipulate this board. You saw my private draft email. You used my PTO hours and therapy deductible against me in a text message. And 5 minutes ago, you posted the Ring doorbell code to our apartment on a Twitch stream and claimed you locked yourself inside." I held up the piece of paper. "You literally just posted our home security code on the internet to cause drama and then drove here in the RAV4 I co-signed. You have absolutely no right to privacy, Alex. Not when you've built our entire relationship on corporate espionage and petty theft of my emotional labor." Jessica finally jumped in, using her womansplainer voice, but this time it was aimed squarely at Alex. "Alex, Ralph is clarifying that the allegations made by Ms. Miller and Mr. Chen regarding your employment status appear to be accurate. Furthermore, your attempt to use a sensitive personal event, the adoption as leverage for a PTA vice president position, constitutes a severe violation of ethical protocol, and sharing the home security code is, to be blunt, actionable." Teresa pulled out her phone and started furiously typing, presumably calculating the long-term cost of this financial disaster. "Alex, were any of the deposits you claimed you made toward the new apartment security deposit fraudulent? Because if so, that's coming out of Ralph's half of the breakup settlement, and I need to document this for future reference regarding Santorini vendor background checks." Dylan, bless his reply all heart, was the only one who showed pure, unadulterated shock. He held up his Samsung. "Alex, I just checked the group chat. You deleted the text with Ralph's PTO info, but guess what? I already screenshotted it NGL, and I sent it to Ralph's best friend Dave." Alex lunged, not at me but at Dylan's phone. He was aiming for the evidence. Dylan, who is surprisingly quick, sidestepped the attack. Alex stumbled and, in a moment that felt like true divine retribution, tripped over the massive teddy bear he had brought in to manipulate the board. He hit the floor with a loud oof. I just stared at him lying there next to the teddy bear, defeated by his own theatrical props. "Get out, Alex," I said quietly this time. The rage had subsided into a cold, heavy finality. "I need the keys to the RAV4. I need your keys to apartment 3B, and you need to leave now." He scrambled up, his composure utterly gone. "You can't do this, Ralph. We're adopting. We had plans. What about the nursery furniture we just bought? What about the vacation to Disney next spring? The nursery furniture is in my name, paid for by my credit card. The Disney trip was booked with my points I listed clinically. And the adoption is mine now. I am speaking to the lawyer first thing tomorrow. You lied about your ability to provide a stable environment, financial and otherwise. I will finalize this adoption on my own." Alex grabbed the teddy bear. He looked absolutely broken, but only because his carefully constructed tower of lies had crumbled. He stood there for a beat staring at me, and then he just bolted. He ran out of the room, out the lobby, and I heard the screech of the RAV4 tires leaving the parking lot seconds later. I slumped into the nearest chair. I hadn't cried yet, but my body felt like it was humming with exhausted adrenaline. Jessica put a hand on my shoulder. "Ralph, I am so sorry. That was highly unprofessional of Alex." "Highly unprofessional?" I choked out a laugh. "Jessica, he used a fake job, a fake persona, and my future child as a political tool for the PTA VP slot. He's a domestic spy who happens to make lattes." Gerald suddenly ripped off his headset. "Guys, Proud Papa Bear 1992 just got banned. The whole stream is celebrating. We did it, Ralph. We exposed the scammer." I looked at the chaos I had just created, the PTA board staring at me with a mix of pity and fascination, and I felt a weird surge of triumph. I had done it. Conflict-avoidant Ralph Ali 52M had just called out a massive liar in a public forum, and I hadn't even had a working phone battery. So that was Tuesday night. I didn't go back to apartment 3B. I called my friend Dave, who lives 3 towns over, and asked if I could crash. Dave, my oldest friend, didn't even ask for details. He just told me to drive to his place immediately and he'd deal with Alex later. Wednesday morning, I woke up on Dave's guest air mattress feeling heavy but strangely clear-headed. The conflict was done. Now came the logistical nightmare. I called the adoption agency first. They were incredibly sympathetic. I explained that I had discovered significant financial and identity deception from Alex. Since the final court date was still a few months away, they assured me they could halt Alex's inclusion and focus solely on my petition, provided I could demonstrate financial stability, which thank God I actually have thanks to my boring municipal planning job. Next, I called the lawyer. The $300 consultation was brutal but necessary. He confirmed what I suspected. Because we weren't legally married, the breakup was primarily logistical and financial, revolving around the lease, the RAV4, and separating our belongings. The biggest issue, the lease. We had just signed a 12-month lease for apartment 3B last week jointly. If I broke it, I'd owe 3 months rent, about $6,000. If Alex left, I'd be on the hook for the full amount myself, unless I could prove I couldn't afford it, which I can, but it would be tight. I called the landlord, explained the situation with extreme politeness, and requested a temporary lock change immediately, citing domestic security concerns. She agreed. Thank God for being overly polite and paying rent 3 days early for 2 years. The PTA aftermath, I had to face the PTA eventually. I couldn't just vanish. Update Thursday afternoon. I logged into my work email, I know, but it was the only safe place and found 4 new emails in the PTA chain. 1. From Jessica, a very detailed summary titled VP Candidate Alex Johnson, Conclusion of Investigation. It included screenshots of the texts Dylan provided, the reference check notes, and a concluding statement that Alex was immediately disqualified from all future PTA involvement. Jessica also added a short, surprisingly warm PS that read, "Ralph, take care of yourself. We are proud of you for prioritizing your safety. Don't worry about the fundraising committee for now." 2. From Teresa, a long, terrifying spreadsheet labeled Projected Divorce Costs, Ali Johnson. Teresa apparently had taken it upon herself to calculate the exact monetary loss I would incur, down to the $43.67 for the bake sale supplies Alex probably never intended to pay back. NGL, the spreadsheet was actually helpful. She had highlighted the $6,000 lease break fee in bright red. Her only personal note was, "Please consider using a certified financial planner for the adoption, Ralph. I can recommend 3, all of whom offer a 10% discount if you book the first session before Saturday." 3. From Dylan, just a picture. It was a screenshot of Alex's Proud Papa Bear 1992 Twitch account permanently banned with the caption "Victory." Dylan also sent me a separate text, "BTW, the thread about your PTO hours deleted by me. Consider it handled, see. Reply, all abusers can be allies sometimes." 4. From Alex, a novel-length, highly emotional gaslighting email. He claimed he only lied because he was under immense pressure to be good enough for me and that I was destroying his entire future over a minor professional exaggeration. He insisted I meet him immediately to talk this through, saying, "We are a family, Ralph. Don't let a bunch of busybody PTA members ruin what we have." I blocked his personal email. That felt good. The confrontation that had to happen, the biggest remaining complication was the RAV4, and getting my things from 3B. The lawyer said I had to document everything. So 2 days later on Friday afternoon, I drove back to apartment 3B with Dave, who is a very large man and looks like he eats cornflakes for breakfast. We drove in Dave's beat-up Ford F-150. I had arranged with the landlord to meet me there with the new keys. When we arrived, the RAV4 was parked crookedly in our spot. Alex was clearly home. I braced myself. Dave stayed by the truck, silent and intimidating. I walked up to the door and used the new key the landlord gave me. I walked in and the apartment smelled vaguely of stale coffee and desperation. Alex was sitting on the sofa, scrolling through his now shattered screen burner phone, somehow still functional. He looked up and his expression went from hopeful to furious when he saw I was alone. He didn't see Dave outside. "Ralph, thank God, I've been trying to call you. Where have you been?" he demanded, standing up. "I've been planning my solo adoption, Alex. Where have you been? You are being completely unreasonable," he shouted. "It was a small lie, so I worked at Starbucks. It was temporary. I was going to tell you eventually. Eventually. After we signed a lease and adopted a child based on a financial projection that doesn't exist. You used our child as political ammunition for the PTA, Alex. You're not just a liar, you're a cruel." He tried the guilt trip again. He walked towards me, trying to look sincere. "But Ralph, I love you, you know I do. I can get a better job. I'll apply for 5 jobs right now. We can still do this. We can still be a family." I knew deep down that he only loved the comfortable life I provided, the stability, the paid-for car, the nice apartment, the boring municipal planner who would never fight back. I did something I would never have done 3 days ago. I pulled out my phone, fully charged this time, TBH, and hit record on the voice memo app. "I need the keys to the RAV4, Alex," I stated, keeping my voice level. "No, it's mine. I need that car for my job. Your job is making lattes, Alex. The vehicle registration is in my name and I'm making the payments. If you don't hand over the keys right now, I'm filing a police report for unauthorized use of a vehicle." I watched him process this. His face darkened. He realized I was serious and that I had backup. "You're really going to choose the PTA over me?" he spat. "I'm choosing honesty, Alex. I'm choosing my daughter. And I'm choosing a life that isn't founded on corporate lies and stolen PTO hours." He walked into the kitchen, grabbed a set of keys from the counter and threw them at me. They clattered on the floor. "Fine, take your stupid car. Y'all regret this, Ralph. You're too old to start over." I picked up the keys. "I'm 52, Alex, and I'm just getting started." I then pointed to the spare room, the room with the expensive IKEA desk and ergonomic chair that was his office. It was now empty of any baby things, just waiting for the new crib to arrive. "I'm packing your clothes now. Everything else you can arrange to pick up with my lawyer next week. You have until the end of the day to get out of this apartment. I'm changing the locks permanently at 5 p.m. He realized I wasn't asking, I was commanding. As I walked out, I saw him pick up his laptop, looking frantically for a burner phone to contact someone. He was already spiraling, but NGL, it wasn't my problem anymore. Dave and I packed up the essentials. My clothes, the dog's things, yes, we have a dog, Winston, who is thankfully staying at Dave's too, and all the important documents. We left the RAV4 there and I called a tow truck to pick it up later that night. I was done dealing with him. A week went by where I essentially lived in a low-level fog of administrative tasks and emotional eating. I binge-watched 3 seasons of a questionable reality show and cried once while looking at a photo of Winston the dog. The absolute worst part was work. I had to face my boss, Mr. Henderson, and explain why I was suddenly out of PTO. I sat in his office and explained the whole scenario, leaving out the PTA drama but emphasizing the identity theft and financial risk. He listened silent and then looked at me with deep sympathy. "Ralph," he said gently, "I am reviewing your file. You actually have 93 hours of PTO banked." "Wait, what? No, sir, I only have 3 left," Alex told me. Mr. Henderson scrolled on his screen. "Alex told you? Ralph, your partner had no access to your municipal file. You have 93 hours. You also have full coverage on the behavioral health deductible as of September 1st. It seems your partner lied to you about your own work benefits." I just stared. Alex wasn't just monitoring me, he was actively managing my perception of my own limited resources, making me feel financially precarious and beholden to him. He wanted me to believe I couldn't afford therapy or time off without his alleged income. The realization hit me harder than the revelation that he worked at Starbucks. He had been trapping me. I immediately submitted 2 weeks of PTO. Mr. Henderson approved it instantly. By Tuesday, I was officially moved out of apartment 3B and into a temporary sublet a few neighborhoods away. It's tiny, but it's mine. Alex had moved back in with his parents in the suburbs, which I only know because Teresa Price, the financial hawk, had tracked his change of address via USPS notification he used for a new credit card application. She texted me the exact address. I did not ask her to do this, but I did appreciate it. I also received the final notice on the RAV4. I had 2 options: pay off the loan and keep the car, or sell it back to the dealership and absorb the minor financial hit. I chose to sell it. I didn't want the constant reminder of that lie in my driveway. 3 days after that, I had my first solo PTA interaction. I had to go back to the school to pick up a box of old fundraising flyers. I walked into the main office expecting to sneak in and out, but Jessica Ramirez was there. She pulled me aside. "Ralph, the drama has settled down. We voted Barb in as VP, obviously. But I wanted to tell you something personal." She took a deep breath. "Alex reached out to me, Teresa, and Dylan yesterday. He called us meddling conspirators and threatened legal action for defamation, citing his impending fatherhood and the emotional distress we caused. He used the term malicious womasplaining to describe my communication style." I groaned. "He really went there, didn't he?" "Oh, he went there. But here's the thing, Ralph. Teresa didn't just forward his email to our lawyer. She replied with a document titled, 'Cease and Desist with attached proof of employment from Starbucks regional manager.'" I burst out laughing. Teresa, the destination wedding demander, had somehow managed to get proof of Alex's employment from his actual boss and used it in a legal threat response. She was a menace and I suddenly loved her. Jessica smiled. "And Dylan?" Dylan simply replied with a gif of a screaming eagle landing on a snake. "That's perfect," I said, wiping a tear from my eye. "It is. We all agreed that what Alex did was unforgivable. And Ralph, we understand the stress you're under. We have secured a $500 anonymous donation for your unforeseen circumstances fund. Please use it for anything you need: lawyer fees, a babysitter, maybe just some excellent Talenti gelato." I was stunned. I was dealing with PTA members, people I usually avoided, and they had become my fiercest allies. They weren't just witnesses, they were my small, chaotic army. "Thank you, Jessica. Honestly, thank you. You deserve stability, Ralph, especially now, and Ralph, I owe you an apology. I realized that my tendency to explain things often masked my own anxiety about maintaining control. I am working on it. Your decision to stand up for yourself was truly inspiring." See, character development for everyone, even the woman's planer. Fast forward to Sunday. I'm sitting here in my shoebox sublet drinking coffee and trying to focus on adoption paperwork. Winston is curled up next to me. Alex has officially gone quiet thanks to the lawyer and Teresa's terrifying financial counterthreats. The only contact I've had was a text this morning from an unknown number. "Hope you enjoy spending Christmas alone." I blocked it without hesitation. I literally did not flinch. That's growth, guys. The adoption agency is moving forward with me as the sole parent. It's scary and the financial reality is intense, but I have 93 hours of PTO, a solid job, and a network of highly organized PTA members ready to fight my battles. I realized something profound this week. I was so conflict avoidant that I had tolerated a massive, dangerous lie for almost 3 years, all to maintain the illusion of peace. I was terrified of confronting Alex, but the lie itself was far more damaging than the resulting explosion. The lie wasn't just about the Starbucks job, it was about the fundamental disrespect. He didn't just lie to me, he tried to neutralize my strengths, my stability, my good benefits to make me reliant on his fake success. He was financially and emotionally suffocating me under the guise of partnership. My therapist, who yes I am seeing regularly now thanks to my surprisingly robust insurance, called this a traumatic decoupling. I call it getting my PTO back and dodging a $200 debt collector. Tomato, tomato. I'm not proud of how long it took me to see it, and I'm definitely not proud that I let my PTA community find out about my PTO balance via a live Twitch stream, but I survived. I faced the absolute worst possible confrontation: public exposure, gaslighting, emotional terrorism, and I didn't crumble. I fought back using the truth and a borrowed cell phone. I still have bad days where I feel overwhelming sadness over the loss of the idea of our future, not the loss of Alex himself. I still reach for his favorite mug sometimes. I still occasionally check the local Starbucks to make sure he's not there serving me a latte. I use the drive-thru now. But yesterday I was reviewing the nursery plans, just me and Winston, and I realized I don't have to compromise on anything. I want a dinosaur theme, I get a dinosaur theme. I want to spend $400 on a rocking chair. It's my money, the freedom is intoxicating. I even applied for the PTA communications committee, the one Dylan manages. I figure if I'm going to be involved, I might as well make sure the email subject lines are concise. Dylan texted me yesterday saying he's organizing a celebratory pizza night with Gerald and Teresa. And GL, I am actually looking forward to it. The biggest change. My daughter, who is going to be moving in with me in March. She's going to have a dad who knows how to fight for her, even if he prefers a quiet life. I realized that facing Alex wasn't just about me, it was about setting the foundation for my family. And Ralph Ali, the conflict-avoidant municipal planner, finally found his voice thanks to a fraudulent VP application and a really good screenshot from a reply all abuser. Will I ever send a reply all email myself? Absolutely not. But I will not hesitate to pick up a phone and speak my mind. That's a huge step for me. Anyway, that's the update. I'm eating ramen every day and dealing with endless paperwork, but I'm sleeping soundly for the first time in years. We'll update if Teresa starts trying to arrange a destination adoption party in Santorini. TBH, I wouldn't put it past her.